Darrell Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848. Appearances, please.
Zach Wichow.
Sir, state your name for the record, please.
I'm here as a third-party intervener in this matter. As authorized representative for my client, I accept for value and return for value all of the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments. And for the record, I do not consent to or agree to being called that name that you have identified here today.
The record should reflect that the individual known to this court as Darrell Brooks is present in person, in custody, in street clothes, specifically a suit and tie and a mask. I just also want to make a record quickly that a number of documents were left by Mr. Brooks in the holding area just outside the courtroom. They have been put on his desk today. It's all of the autopsy protocols that were provided to him yesterday, the hard copies, that is, the diagrams that were presented in court related to those protocols, and a copy of the pretrial offer. So I just wanted to make that record. Hold on, not right yet, please. So I have been advised that all of the jurors are here and ready to go. I presume the state has available its next witness.
Yes.
We do, and we'd also move State's Exhibit 162A into evidence.
As to 162A, Mr. Brooks, any position on that?
Yeah, I object. I haven't even seen it, first of all. And second of all, again, for the record.
Mr. Brooks, I'm just dealing only with the exhibit right now. Sorry for the interruption, but I need to do that without interruption from you. 162A was a screen capture that related to an annotation that a witness made. I believe that was during witness number 34. Yes, that was Mr. Hallmark. And so based upon that, Exhibit 162A is received, and I will so advise the jury when they come in. Sir, I'm not going to address any preliminary matters at this point. I've already addressed a number of things yesterday. The jury is to be brought out.
No, there was some things that needed to be discussed about the paperwork from yesterday.
We'll take that up on a break. You can look over it. You can make a note and pass it to
I've
my
already looked over it, Your Honor. With all respect, I think there's some things.
Mr. Brooks, I'm not going to deal with it right now. It's paperwork. I just wanted it notated that you left it, and now it's being provided to you again.
I'm not referring to that paperwork.
I'm not dealing with the paperwork from the clerk of court's office either. I am not the custodian. We're going to bring the jury out.
Okay, but she should
Brooks?
know that she's trying
Mr.
to
Brooks,
get me to pay.
stop. I am not addressing it.
It has to be addressed, Your
All right,
Honor,
I'm going to take a quick break and make sure the jury's ready, and we'll go off the
If I don't
bench.
address it now.
All right, thank you. The jury can come on out.
So we're not going to address this civil matter?
No.
I was told to pay for something under a civil statute.
Mr. Brooks, I am not the custodian. Bring it up with the clerk of court.
How
I'm
can
not
I bring
addressing
it up
it.
with the clerk of court? How am I supposed to do that? So that makes me wonder if it's a
Mr.
civil
Brooks,
case.
the jury's coming out. I'm not going to address your request for open records. I'm not the custodian of the records, sir.
Who's being sued? My Sesame Trust is being sued?
Mr. Brooks, this is an irrelevant matter that you're attempting to bring up in the presence of the jury. The record should reflect these interruptions.
Before the jury came out, Your Honor.
And I told you I wasn't going to address it. Please.
Okay, so it's a civil matter. Who's being sued? My sesty trust, because how can I be?
Mr. Brooks, you're talking about an irrelevant matter between you and the clerk of court.
It wasn't irrelevant when I got the paperwork from the clerk of courts. I was simply
Mr.
trying
Brooks,
to address it.
I'm not going to address it. The jury will
So I'm
disregard
being sued.
these irrelevant
This is a civil
comments.
matter. We haven't addressed subject
All
matter
right, thank you,
jurisdiction yet at all
everyone.
either.
Please be seated. The jury
So
will
we're not gonna
disregard the
address subject
statements
matter?
Mr. Brooks is making about subject matter jurisdiction. They are a misstatement of the law.
Yes, no,
All right,
it's not.
and
Just like this is a civil case.
Mr. Brooks, the jury's here. Please
Just like
show
this is a civil
respect
case.
and decorum.
According to this document, this is a
Mr.
civil
Brooks,
case,
please stop.
which means someone is being sued. Civil is a suit.
Mr. Brooks, you're talking about an irrelevant
I
matter.
have the
I'm
paperwork
starting
sent
the
by the paper
trial.
course right here that says it's a civil matter.
Mr. Brooks
So
has
what's
nothing
being
to
sued?
do with
My
this
sesty
case.
trust is being sued.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So,
I got the paperwork right here.
all right, I'm
How
going
do
to
you not
excuse
know
the
what I'm
jury
talking
right
about?
now, given this disruption. I'll rise for the jury.
This should be properly addressed before the jury even comes out. That's why I tried to properly address it before we even went on the record.
Mr. Brooks, stop.
I'm not gonna. This is.
You are not
I
being
was given
respectful to
paperwork
this
by you,
proceeding
Your
or
Honor,
to
with
this
all
jury.
respect.
No, it's not. With all due respect, stating that doesn't make it
I was given this
respectful.
paperwork by you.
Mr.
from
Brooks,
Monica Paz.
stop talking till
Clerk
the
of
jury
court.
is out.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
why couldn't we address this before they came out?
I'm
That
not
was the
going to
time-
address it,
That
bottom
was the time
line.
to address it, though. We're supposed to do all the addressings before the jury comes out, before we start the matter.
Please
I was
be
trying
seated.
to simply address paperwork that was given to me by you, Your Honor. That states that
Mr.
this-
Brooks,
it states that
you
this
have
is a
interrupted
civil
me
matter.
repeatedly. You are on the verge of being removed to that courtroom. I don't want to
On-
do
on
that.
what-
I want you to stay here.
on what
But
fact of the
you
law, Your
keep
Honor?
interrupting me and bringing up irrelevant matters. I told you yesterday, as a courtesy that was provided to you, so that you would frankly not complain that you didn't get it as quickly as possible. Okay, I am not the custodian of the records. If you have an issue with what was provided to you, how it was provided to you, then take it up with the clerk of
She
court.
can't
But
charge
from
me.
now on, I am not going to be the messenger and give you documents that you request to the custodian of the records or from the custodian of the records. They will simply have to be delivered to you at the jail. But that is in response to your discussion or whatever we want to call it this morning. I'm not taking it up.
It should-
All right? It is irrelevant.
It needed to be noted for the record.
It doesn't
Because
need
it
to be
was-
noted, sir.
You
All right,
gave
the
it to
jury's
me-
coming
you gave
back
it to
out,
me
and
open
I'm going
court.
to warn you, if you bring this up again, I will pause, and I will remove you to the next courtroom for being disrespectful, for being interruptive, for being disruptive, and for bringing up irrelevant matters in front of this jury. You will forfeit your right to be present for the direct examination of this witness.
I object to that,
Did you
Your Honor.
hear what I said, sir?
No, I did not. I object to that, Your Honor.
Well, you can
And-
object, and your objection is noted, but if you
For the
interrupt
record-
when this jury
for
comes
the
out,
record-
they will go, I will have them taken out again, and you will be removed to the next courtroom.
You can't, what is the legal basis for that ruling, Your Honor?
Illinois versus Allen, sir, and all of the other
And-
cases that
and it
I've
doesn't
cited
say
previously.
anything-
I'll make the appropriate record. Stop interrupting me. The jury's coming out. We're continuing with this trial despite your repeated efforts to disrupt.
That's a
Yesterday,
mischaracterization
sit
of the
down.
record.
Yesterday alone, sir, 17 interruptions, not including the opportunity that I gave you where you spent 50 minutes, okay, discussing what were primarily either irrelevant or baseless accusations and requests not based in law or fact. I was abundantly patient with you yesterday.
And you still haven't
And-
verified by proof any of what I
And
said,
none
Your
of that
Honor.
is required, sir.
Because it
And
is. You can't verify.
your
and prove.
belief
Where's
that
the
that's the
subject matter? Where's the
law
subject matter
doesn't make it
jurisdiction?
so, Mr. Brooks. Your belief that these are legitimate legal positions
They are.
doesn't change the law and doesn't make it so.
It's
So,
clearly
again,
relevant because you didn't want to.
I'm going to step off and give Mr. Brooks 5 minutes to cool off, and when that
I don't
happens,
need
I'm
to
bringing
cool
the
off.
jury
I'm
out,
not angry at all.
and then we will
I just wanted
continue.
to. I don't.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. All right, the jury can be brought out, please. I need to stand here because the camera needs to stay so they don't catch the jury.
Once again, not addressing the subject matter jurisdiction yet again.
Maybe a little bit more in the procedural, just, yeah. But yeah.
All rise.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, while you were not with us, the state moved Exhibit 162A, and I did receive it. With that, who do we have on the witness stand?
The state calls Assistant Chief Craig Learman.
All right, sir, would you please stand and raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please be seated. Sir, the first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Sure. First name Craig, C-R-A-I-G. Last name Learman, L-I-E-R-M-A-N-N.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. I'd like to direct your attention to Sunday, November 21st of 2021. Did you attend the Waukesha Christmas parade that day?
Yes, I did.
Were you alone or with other people?
I was with my family.
Overruled.
Could you say that again?
I was with my family.
And I see you're wearing a uniform today. What do you do for a living?
I'm Assistant Chief with the Franklin Police Department.
Were you at the parade in your law enforcement capacity?
I was not.
Why were you there?
I was there to attend the parade just to get the Christmas mood.
Okay. And did you have any family members participating in the parade?
I did not.
Where were you standing or observing the parade?
I was standing on West Main Street, very near the intersection of Maple, just to the west of Maple.
Do you know if you were on the north side or the south side of Main Street?
I was on the south side of Main Street.
Will you please put up for the jury exhibit number 15, which has previously been received and published.
Go ahead. Overruled.
And could we zoom in on the bottom left quadrant here? Do you recognize the area on the map that you're looking at?
Yes.
What does it depict?
It's a map of the parade route, Christmas parade route.
Could you draw a little X for us, if you can find where you were standing with your family?
Objection.
Overruled.
Do you want me to go up and touch the map? Is that how
Oh,
it
the
works, or-
screen in front of you. I'm sorry. The screen in front of you is a
Okay.
touch screen. You can use your finger.
Sure. Okay.
Overruled.
That would be right, basically right there, just west of the intersection with Maple by maybe 20 to 50 feet.
Okay. Southwest corner, Maple and Main.
Yes.
We can clear that then, please. Could we now please display for the jury Exhibit 56, which has also been previously received and published.
Go ahead.
This is a An exhibit has already been received into evidence. It's obviously a diagram of the intersection we're talking about. Do you recognize this intersection?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
And could you point out for us by, again, drawing a little X where you and your family were standing?
Yes, it would be approximately right here.
Okay. So the, again, southwest corner of Maple and Main.
Yes.
Do you recall what happened? We can take that down, please. Do you recall what happened at approximately 4:39 p.m. that Sunday afternoon?
Objection.
Overruled.
Yes.
Can you tell us?
Sure. Standing at that location, the parade was coming from my right to my left, so from the east to the west. There was a break in the parade in front of me. To my right was the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies. To my left was a group from the Catholic community of Waukesha, and there was a break in the parade right in front of me, an opening. I heard the crowd become more excited than normal. So I felt like something was coming, but I didn't know what. Didn't know if it was a unusual parade thing or what, but people became more excited, so it kind of grabbed my attention. Then I realized something wasn't quite right. I could see a vehicle traveling from the east to the west. At first I could only see the top portion of the vehicle from maybe the windshield up, because there was people obviously standing along the route, so they kind of obstructed my view. But I could see that the vehicle was traveling at a much faster rate than any of the other participants, so clearly something was wrong.
Could you describe the vehicle for us?
At first I could only tell that it was probably like an SUV, because of, again, my vision was obstructed by the people that were standing watching the parade. As I got closer, I could see that it was a red Ford Escape SUV.
What happened as the SUV got closer to you?
As it got closer to me, I could hear that the engine was revving very high. The RPMs were much higher than normal, almost like it was maybe in the wrong gear, or there was something mechanically wrong with it. It was revving, like I said, revving much higher than a typical car. It definitely grabbed your attention.
Okay, what happened next?
As I got closer, I could hear something which I didn't know if it was like the engine sputtering, or I didn't really know what it was. Again, kind of unusual. But then as it got closer, I could see that it was, again, traveling at a high rate of speed. I was concerned at that point in time that either there's some sort of mechanical issue with the car possibly, or maybe some parade participant was having a medical emergency, but the vehicle was clearly not under control in relation to everything else that was going on.
How close did the SUV get to you?
As it passed me, it came more towards my side of the street, so it would have been traveling essentially west in what would be the eastbound lanes normally. So when it passed by me, it was very close, probably maybe 10 feet away at most.
Were there parking spaces in front of you where you were standing?
Overruled. You may answer.
I believe there were, yes.
Do you recall if the vehicle passed through the parking spaces in front of you at all?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Yes.
Could you describe the lighting conditions at that time? What were the sunlight, street lights, things like that?
It was, if I remember correctly, it was getting to be towards dusk. I don't believe the street lights were on at that point in time, but it was getting darker, but it was still, like I said, I would describe it as maybe dusk, slightly before that.
How good of a look did you get at the driver?
A very good look.
Okay. Can you describe, or can you give us a physical description of what you remember?
I remember the driver being a light-skinned male black, approximately mid-30s, mid to late 30s. Had very facial hair and what I would describe as like dreadlocks, longer hair.
What was the driver doing as he passed you?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
As he was driving by, the window was open. He stuck his head and actually like the upper portion of his body out the driver's window and looked back behind him.
The window you're talking about, which window is that?
It would be the driver's window.
And he actually stuck his head out the window.
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled. He may answer.
Correct, to the point where it crossed my mind he actually may fall out. That's how far out I perceived him to be.
What direction was the driver looking when he stuck his head out the window?
He was looking behind him.
From the direction that he had come from?
Correct.
What happened next?
At that point when he looked back and then he kind of turned towards the front, based on his body language, my heart kind of sank because I felt like what I thought could be maybe a medical emergency or something like that. To me, clearly, I felt like it was an intentional act, so that obviously upset me a little bit. And then the driver, after he had leaned back, he turned forward, he grabbed the steering wheel, he pulled himself up off the seat and cranked the steering wheel to the right.
So let the record reflect that the witness used both hands at the 10 and 2 position to simulate the driver's hands on the steering wheel.
Objection to that.
Overruled. The record will reflect.
What happened as the driver cranked the steering wheel to the right?
Unfortunately, when he did that, he essentially steered the vehicle across the parade route at a diagonal angle directly through a group of people that were walking with the Catholic community of Waukesha.
Based on your memory of where those people were in the road and the SUV's path of travel, what would have happened if the SUV had simply maintained a straight path instead of veering to the right?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. He may answer.
I believe that there was a gap between where the Catholic community from Waukesha were standing and the parade spectators. So there should have been an open alleyway if he would have went straight.
What happened next?
Unfortunately, when he drove through that group, he struck many of them, a lot of them kind of bouncing off the hood, and some of them, unfortunately, actually ran over. I could see people come out from underneath the vehicle.
Did you see the vehicle at any point attempt to strike the word attempt? Did you at any point see the vehicle slow down?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
No, not at all.
Did you see brake lights?
Nope, none.
Did you hear a horn honking?
Nope, not at all.
I'd like to put up for the witness only, please, exhibit number 133.
Go ahead.
This is a 5-second clip. It's cleared now. We're going to just play it for you once. Let me know if you recognize what you're looking at after you watch it, okay?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Okay.
Do you recognize that clip?
Yes.
What does it depict?
That depicts the red Ford Escape traveling through the closed parade route from the east of Maple through that intersection with Maple on Main Street to the west, very close to where I was standing.
Does that video accurately depict the events as you saw them unfold that day?
Yes, it does.
Move exhibit 133 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. Exhibit 133 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
We could just wait for the bailiff to give me a signal.
There's a delay to the monitors in the jury box.
Okay.
Could you just tell us which part of the screen does the SUV enter?
Objection, leave the witness.
Overruled.
It enters from the right side of the screen and progresses across to the, essentially kind of the left side of the screen.
Okay, let's play this once then.
Why was it playing so fast? Is that normal speed?
Mr. Brooks, it's not your time to ask questions. You'll have an opportunity to ask those previously, or when. Go ahead.
Could we put up for the witness only, please, exhibit number 132? So same concept here. I'm just going to play a few seconds for you. You let me know if you recognize the area depicted in the video and what happens as it plays. Let's keep going. Okay. Do you recognize that video?
Yes.
What does it show?
It shows the same red Ford Escape SUV that I've been talking about come in from the right-hand side of the screen across the left-hand side of the screen, striking at least one person there.
And do you see the vehicle changing position in the road towards the end of that video?
Objection, leave the witness.
Overruled.
Can I see it again?
Sure.
For the record, how long is this clip?
It is 11 seconds.
Thank you.
From my perspective, the vehicle travels straight through the video from right to left.
Okay. Is this an accurate representation of what you saw that day?
Yes.
Move exhibit 132 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Exhibit 132 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Wait for the bailiff. Okay, we can play. I'd like to go back to the 6-second mark. Set it to 40%, please. And play from there.
Go ahead.
Can we go back to the 6-second mark?
Objection. Just the relevancy and keep going back.
I presume you have a question for the witness?
I do, yep.
All right, overruled.
Can you, using a little X again, can you draw on the screen the approximate area where you would have been standing at this time?
Sure. It would have been somewhere down in that area.
Okay. So the sidewalk running kind of up the middle of the screen here, that'll run into Maple,
Yes.
and then you would be on the other side of Maple?
Objection, leave the witness.
Overruled. His answer may stand. Just caution the state about leading questions. Thank you.
Do you know what side of the street this camera is on, north or south?
This,
Objection, speculative.
Overruled, yes, if he knew.
this camera would be on the south side of Main Street.
And what direction is the camera facing?
This camera will be facing to the west.
Okay. And can we back up a little bit, maybe to the 3-second mark.
Yes.
Okay, we're at the 3-second mark. Do you see the SUV that you've been talking about in the video right now?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
Yes.
Can you please circle it for us? Thank you. We can clear that. Now, paying attention to the tail lights, let's play again at 40% from that spot, 3 seconds. What did you see the taillights of the SUV doing in the last few seconds of that video?
Objection, what's the relevancy?
Overruled. He may answer.
I didn't see the taillights on. As far as like brake lights, I didn't see any brake lights.
But the rear-facing lights were illuminated in some way, correct?
Objection, leading the witness.
Sustained.
Asked about
Please.
tail lights, not brake lights.
Please rephrase.
Sure. Did you see any lights on the back of the vehicle?
Yes.
Which ones?
Taillights.
And what did you see the taillights doing in that portion of the video?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
The taillights were on.
But the position of the vehicle, did you see that change?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
I did not.
Okay. You testified earlier that you thought there might be some type of mechanical issue. Did you maintain that opinion?
No.
Why not?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
Based on the body language that the driver had exhibited as he passed me, there was no panic, there was no distress, like he was trying to stop the vehicle. In fact, he seemed to me like he was excited about what he was doing.
Would you please put up for the witness exhibit number 34, again for the witness only.
Go ahead.
134, excuse me. Yep.
Go ahead. 134.
We're going to play, this is a 16-second clip. We're just going to play the first 7 or 8 seconds for you. That's good. We played 6 seconds. Do you recognize that video?
Do I recognize the vehicle in the video?
Yes.
Yes.
Objection, that wasn't the question, Your Honor.
Overruled. He may answer.
The answer was yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is based on your recollection of the scene that day. This would be where in relation to where you were standing?
That would be west of my location.
What happens to Main Street as you go west of where you were standing?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
Approximately a block to the west, the road takes a sharp turn to the left or south.
You testified earlier that the driver's window was down when it passed you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does this video accurately depict how the SUV looked, including that window, at the time you saw it?
Objection, speculative. No window was open.
Overruled. He may answer. He's testifying about what he recalled, not what someone else thought. Go ahead.
Yes.
I move Exhibit 134 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Objection, hearsay.
The objection is overruled. Exhibit 134 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Okay, we'll play this once at full speed. The video that we just played, Exhibit 134, that's how you recall seeing the video that day, the vehicle that day?
Yes.
Now, if we could put up for the witness only, Exhibit number 9, please. Do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes.
What is it?
That's the red SUV that I saw on the parade that day. The damage done depicts in the front of the vehicle is consistent with what I saw. The driver's window is open, like I saw, and that's the driver that I saw driving the vehicle that day.
Does Exhibit 9 appear to be a screenshot from the video that we just saw, Exhibit 134?
Yes.
I'd move Exhibit 9 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Objection. Speculative.
Exhibit 9 is received. Permission to publish is granted. Does that come up in the jury box yet? Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can take that down. Thank you. What did you do after the SUV drove out of your field of view?
Checked on my family. They were physically unharmed. So then I went into the road to see how I can help people.
Did you?
Yes.
Who?
Stepped out into the road. I looked to my left, to my right, in each direction. I would estimate probably 12 to 15 people in each direction that were lying in the road in various positions. I just walked up to the first people that I saw to my west, which would have been people that were with the Catholic community of Waukesha.
And did you attempt to render any medical aid to anybody in that group?
Yes.
Can you describe that?
So I happened upon two people. One was an adult male, and then one was a small child, probably 8 to 11. The adult male was conscious. He was lying on his side. I believe it was the right side of his head on the ground. He complained that he couldn't move his legs. And then the young girl was unconscious. She was laying on her stomach, face down, with her head tucked essentially down underneath her, like onto her chest essentially.
The adult male that you described, did he provide you with a first name?
Yes, he did.
What was that?
Jason.
The girl that you mentioned, did you ever learn her name?
I have an idea who it is now. I did not learn it that day though.
Okay. What happened as you came upon that girl with her head tucked down into her chest?
I believe there was at least one other Good Samaritan that had come down to assist her. She was not, like I said, she was not conscious. She was breathing, but the breaths were more like snoring. I recognized that she was not getting good quality breaths. Could be characterized as agonal breathing, possibly, but she was not breathing normally.
What did you do?
I told the other Good Samaritan that we needed to get her in a better position so she could get adequate breaths, because where she was not. At first, the person was a little reluctant because they didn't want to hurt her more by moving her. But I convinced them that she's not breathing appropriately right now, and we have to move her carefully so that she can have an opportunity to breathe.
So did you?
Yes.
Did you help anybody else with the group that you've identified as the Catholic communities?
Objection answered.
Overruled.
Eventually, there was several people that came and helped the young girl with various levels of medical training. I think one was like a retired military medic, and there was at least one nurse. So they were helping her to the point where I really could not provide any additional aid. So I kind of walked around to see if there's anybody else I could help.
Was there?
Yes, there was many people at that point.
Did you help anybody else?
Yes.
Who?
I actually ran into an officer who was also off duty from Franklin that I recognized. I didn't attend the event with him, but I ran into him. We worked together then to help at least one other person into the back of a sheriff's squad that had come onto the parade route to try to help get people to area hospitals.
What type of vehicle was that?
It was a
There's been an objection. It's not speculative. The witness may answer. Go ahead.
Okay. It was a marked Waukesha County Sheriff's SUV.
What happened next?
By that time, there was a lot of medical equipment that was arriving on scene. I know there was a longboard that we tried putting some of the victims on, but the longboard wouldn't fit in the back of the SUV because it's a hard seat, and it just wouldn't fit in there. So we ended up using like a makeshift stretcher out of a blanket, and then we carried one of the victims into the back of the sheriff SUV. And then the officer who was with me from Franklin, he actually rode with her in the back, or female victim, and went to an area hospital.
Do you recall the first name of that female victim?
I believe it was Marisol.
Marisol?
Objection, legal witness.
It's a clarification.
Legal witness.
Overruled.
Yes.
Did you eventually leave the downtown Waukesha area?
Yeah, approximately 5:30 after all the victims that had been lying in the road were taken care of. There was nothing left for me to do at that point.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any questions for this witness, sir?
Yeah.
That's a yes.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Would you happen to be on duty today, right now, if you weren't testifying?
Yes.
And so right now, would it be fair to say that you are on the clock?
Yes.
So on the clock, would it be fair to say that you're getting paid right now?
Yes.
Would that be for your testimony, or just because you would be on the clock otherwise?
These would be my normal work hours right now.
So you're being paid to testify right now as we speak?
Objection.
Grounds.
Asked and answered.
Grounds.
He may answer.
Yes.
Any idea why you would be getting paid to testify?
Because these are my normal work hours. This is when I'm working, and I've been subpoenaed by the state to be here.
So the state's paying you to testify?
The city of Franklin is paying me.
To testify?
These are my normal work hours.
So testifying in open court is part of your duties as an officer?
Yes.
So you've done this more than just this time, then would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And each time you were paid to do so?
Yes.
You made mention to the state of Wisconsin. Is that who you were subpoenaed by?
Yes.
Do you recall by whom?
No.
You were in fact subpoenaed though, would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And you don't recall by whom the subpoena was delivered to you? The name on the subpoena?
No.
So would it be fair to say that upon being subpoenaed, you were in touch with the state of Wisconsin?
Specifically, the Waukesha County DA's office.
Do you recall who those interactions were with?
Not specifically.
So it'd be fair to say you had an interaction with the Waukesha County District's Attorney's Office, but don't recall who you spoke with.
I spoke with a group of people from the DA's office.
Do you remember anyone by name?
One of the people was the gentleman, the DA at the table.
That the record reflect that the witness made a hand gesture towards the prosecution table and identified Attorney Whichow?
Objection.
The record will so reflect.
So you knew that it was a strong possibility that you would be called to testify then, I'm assuming. That'd be fair to say?
Yes.
Did you seek to testify in any way?
I don't understand the question.
Were you actively seeking to testify? Like, did you, on your end, did you reach out and volunteer testimony?
After the incident, I did complete a report of what I saw that day and gave it to the Waukesha Police Department.
So after that report that you submitted, you didn't follow up on what was happening in the matter at that point?
No.
So it'd be fair to say after you gave the report on the incident, you just went back to work and continued your normal duties. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Did you follow much in the aftermath of the matter at that point after you submitted your report?
Not really.
Don't recall seeing any news reports related to the incident?
I may have saw some.
You made reference at one point to, well, let me back up. Was today the first time you ever saw those exhibits, the videos and still frame photo?
No.
So you've seen that before today?
Yes.
You recall how many times?
I believe probably once a piece.
Do you recall who you were shown them by?
The
Same.
table. Yeah.
Same attorney?
Yes.
Let the record also reflect that, again, he's made a right hand gesture to the prosecution table and identified Attorney Whichow again.
No objection.
Record will so reflect.
And do you recall around what date that was? Was it recently? Was it some time ago?
It was recently.
And what would you define as recently? A few weeks? A few days? A month?
A few weeks.
And exhibit, I want to say it was 133, or maybe 132. You recall seeing the vehicle that you saw that day going through the parade route? Would that be fair to say?
Could I see the exhibit? I'm not sure which one specifically you're referring to.
Let's try exhibit 132. Then maybe.
Will the state put that up, please?
Yep.
For the witness only or for everyone?
For everyone.
All right, go ahead.
I don't have it on my screen.
It takes a moment.
Okay.
Should have it now. Jurors,
Yes.
let me know when you have it in the jury box.
I have it now.
No, I need the jurors to let me know when they get it, since there's more of a delay to the jury box and those monitors. Thank you. It's on in the jury box. Go ahead.
You made reference when shown this exhibit. You made reference to be in position around like right in that area. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
If you could play the video from, I don't know, maybe starting at around 5 seconds.
Give me a second. I need to clear the annotation. You don't want to capture them anyway, do you?
Oh no, okay.
All right.
Can you play it? Did you see the vehicle pass the position where you were standing in that exhibit?
Yes.
You made reference to the driver of the vehicle hanging out of the driver's side window, and I think your words were, you were concerned that the driver may fall out of the vehicle. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
Is it fair to say from that exhibit video that the driver of that vehicle is not hanging out of the window?
In that portion of the video, he is not hanging out the window.
So what portion, let me back up. In any of the exhibits that you were shown, does any of them depict the driver hanging out of the window on the verge of falling out?
No.
So at what position were you in when you observed what you say as the driver hanging out of the window and you being concerned that possibly they would fall out? And where were you positioned at that time?
I would have been standing on the south side of Main Street, just west of Maple, by a few feet.
Do you know of any reason why the exhibits are not depicting what you say you saw?
That portion of the video only covers from a distance where I was. It would have been the very tail end of that. When it's going to the west, that video is probably from several hundred feet to the east of where I am. So
Several hundred feet? How would you estimate that distance?
just I know where that video is taken from and where I was standing. That's an estimate of about how far.
And you know that for sure?
It's an estimate.
So it would be fair to say you don't know for sure.
Objection, argument.
Grounds
Sustained.
for the sustain, Your Honor?
Argumentative. Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Would it be fair to say that in the exhibit that was just shown, that from the position that you said that you would have been positioned at, would it be fair to say that the vehicle passed that position pretty quickly?
Yes.
So how were you able to get a look at the driver if it passed your position quickly and we can see lots of people standing in that position?
When the vehicle passed by me, the vehicle at that point in time was a threat to me and my family. So I was very focused on what was going on. Very focused. And it passed directly in front of me, about 10 feet away. So all my attention was directly on that vehicle. That's how I noticed that.
And you saying it passed 10 feet in front of you?
Approximately, yes.
Does this exhibit that was just shown depict what you are saying now, that it passed 10 feet in front of you?
Yes.
So can we pull that back up?
Sure. It'll be shown to everyone.
Yes.
And if the jurors would let me know when it's on the screens in the jury box, please. Go ahead. You
Jury
want
got-
it played? They have it, yeah, they confirmed. Do you want it played from a certain
Well,
spot?
I'll get to that. Just so we're clear for the record and for the jury, your position would be somewhere in here as you testified. Would that be fair to say?
correct, but
Can we put an X
Hold
down?
on, let him finish. You interrupted him.
Okay.
given the angle of this, it's very hard for me to show precisely where I am. It's a little, if I can draw an X, I'm trying to draw it as far,
Use your finger.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
like as far down here as possible. It's not right, it's not like any of these people here. It's actually, because this is still, all this video here is still on the east side of Maple. I am on the west side of Maple. So when I put an X here, I am essentially, I'm going to call it way down there, several hundred feet. I'm not any of these people pictured. Does that make sense?
No, it actually doesn't, but I was referring, so I probably had it a little coming this way, so by what you're saying, you would have been approximately in this area. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Object to the annotation. The witness drew twice now where he was, and I think adequately explained it.
Grounds.
I'm going to sustain the objection and direct Mr. Brooks to have the witness put where the area that he was in.
Okay.
So we'll clear the annotation and go ahead. If you could do that, sir.
Again, it would be.
Now, did you mean to put that arrow?
I did not mean to put that arrow there.
Let's clear it again. We'll have you do it. I know it's a touchy screen, so do it again.
So you and your family were approximately in the area of where you drew the X. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Would it be also be fair to say that there are quite a few people in that area?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you can see, I guess it would be some type of lights from the vehicle that passed? Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And you estimate that where you can see those lights and where you would have positioned that is 10 feet.
Can you repeat the question?
Would you say that where you can see those lights at, that you just said that you can see, and the position that you drew yourself to be positioned in, you would estimate that that's 10 feet?
Yes.
I'll object and move to strike. I think this is a misleading question. We're at the beginning of the video. Those taillights are not the vehicle in question.
Where did the taillights come from then?
A different vehicle.
Oh.
So would it be fair to say that
Hold on, there's been an objection. I believe the question mischaracterized the evidence. So strike the question, strike his response. Please rephrase. If you want to watch the video again to establish what you're asking, that would be fine.
Before I play, do you recall there being any other vehicles positioned by where you were standing there with your family?
Hold on, are you talking about at the time that we're seeing this?
At the time that we're looking at right now, do you recall any other vehicles being present, positioned where you were standing with your family?
I believe there was a vehicle to my left, which would have been immediate to my left was the group that was walking with the Catholic community of Waukesha, and just to the west of them was some sort of vehicle that was participating in the parade.
So it would have been a little bit further west.
Yes.
From your recollection, would you say that that was the vehicle that you said would have been positioned a little further west?
Sir, do you mean the vehicle in the photo?
Yes, the
video?
vehicle that.
Thank you.
The vehicle in the exhibit. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to make sure we all understand.
Okay,
It's possible that's the vehicle.
but you don't know for sure.
No.
Can you play a little bit of it? I'll tell you when to pause. Can we bring the X off?
We can, and we will. Go ahead and play.
Pause. Would it be fair to say that it looks like the vehicle that's traveling with direction, would that be west?
Which vehicle are you referring to?
The vehicle that just drove through the middle of the screen.
Yes.
For
Would
the
it be
record,
fair-
hold on. For the record, the video is paused at 4 seconds. Go ahead.
Does the vehicle appear to be in the middle of the street? Would that be fair to say?
At that point, yes.
And would you estimate the middle of the street to be 10 feet from where you were positioned at the time?
No, it would be a little further than that.
And with all the people in that general vicinity, would that in any way be hard for you to focus on if you could actually see who was driving the vehicle?
No, when I gave the description, the vehicle was right in front of me and there was nobody in my way.
Do you see yourself? Did your position move closer to the vehicle, as we can see that it's in the middle of the street and you just testified to that? Did you move closer to the vehicle or did you move back from the vehicle? What did you do at that point when you noticed that the vehicle was approaching your position?
It happened very quickly. I don't know that I moved in any direction when the vehicle came by.
So to your recollection, you pretty much stayed where you were at.
Yes, it happened very quickly.
So it'd be fair to say that it was, well, let me back up. What will you define as very quickly? Few seconds?
Yes.
And in a few seconds, you were able to see the driver of the vehicle hanging out of the window and almost falling and doing all that in just a few seconds?
Yes.
And you also made mention to the driver of the vehicle looking behind them. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
So, in your recollection, you witnessed the driver hanging out of the driver's side window, being concerned that they would possibly fall out of the vehicle, and looking back and continuing to drive in a straight line, all in a few seconds.
Can you repeat that question?
You were able to see, because you testified that everything happening very quickly, and then you defined that as being a few seconds. Would that be fair to say that that's what you just testified to?
Yes.
So what I'm asking is, in those few seconds, you were able to see, from your recollection, you were able to see the driver of the vehicle hanging out of the vehicle, you being concerned that the driver would possibly fall from the vehicle. Notice that the driver was looking back and continuing to drive in a straight line. You witnessed all this in a few seconds.
I would not say continue to drive in a straight line. All the rest of that, yes.
You witnessed all that in a few seconds.
Yes.
Are we done with the video?
Oh yeah, we done with the video. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Just so we're clear for the record, the exhibit that we just watched, the driver of the said vehicle is not hanging out of the window. Would that be fair to say?
Correct.
You made reference to the make and model of the vehicle. How were you able to determine that in just a few seconds?
Given my job, I know different makes and models of vehicles, so I'm positive on the make and model.
So would you know the make and model of pretty much any vehicle that would pass you on a street?
Most, yes.
Most, but not all.
Some of the newer vehicles look very similar. Some might be a little difficult, but I'm very confident in that vehicle description.
You were able to determine that in a few seconds?
Yes.
You made mention to some mechanical problems. You believe that there may have been some mechanical problems. How were you able to come to that determination?
That was my initial concern because of the noise that the engine was making. It wasn't a normal engine noise. The RPMs were revving much higher than normal.
Can you explain to the jury what do you mean by that, the RPMs? How that has any bearing on the engine?
It sounds very, very high pitched. This is very different than a normal vehicle driving down the road. Very, very high pitched. It would get your attention.
And so, upon hearing that, from your recollection, you thought because of that sound that there had to be some mechanical problems going on with the engine.
I thought that there could be.
But it was your first initial thought, correct?
Correct.
And you were able to hear that sound and come to a conclusion that possibly there were mechanical issues all in a few seconds.
A lot runs through your mind at that point in time, yes.
And would it be fair to say, because depicting from the exhibit that there were quite a few people in that general area, you were able to hear this engine over all the noise and chaos that was going on at that time?
Yes, absolutely.
And you can hear the engine clear over all those people?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that there were hundreds, even thousands of people present at the parade that day?
Hundreds for sure in my area, sure.
In your general area, hundreds?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that hundreds of people can get pretty loud?
Yes.
You stated that, I can't remember what side of the road you said it would be, but you made reference to an open alleyway. Do you recall saying that?
No.
Do you recall if you were positioned by any cross streets?
Yes, there was an intersection just to my right with Maple Avenue.
Do you recall if it was barricaded at the time?
I believe it was, but I couldn't say for sure.
Do you recall if any law enforcement was stationed at